welcome to a brand new episode of Full Court Podcast with your host, Orazio. As we continue through our journey throughout Europe, it's time to, talk a little bit about the Balkan area, which is something that we haven't done so far in this podcast. And in order to do that, my guest for this week is my friend straight from Montenegro, Edin Memic. Edin, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad I could join you to talk a little basketball regarding Balkans and everything that's going on in EuroLeague, EuroCup, and everything Balkans related when it comes to basketball.
Yeah, it's very good to have this opportunity. So with Edin, of course, we're going to focus a little bit more about the Balkan area. So we're going to talk about Crvena Zvezda, Partizan Belgrade, Buducnost, and so we're going to try to analyze how these teams are doing so far, and their possibilities for the future. So we're going to start, of course, with EuroLeague and with Crvena Zvezda. As of right now, Crvena Zvezda has a record of 8 wins and 12 losses in EuroLeague. They've been doing a very good job defensively. When we look at their games and their performances so far, their defense has been a key for them. Also because offensively, they don't necessarily have that type of superstar that can get you out of trouble at some point. So they have to focus a lot on the defensive side of their game. I was going through some numbers the other day, and Zvezda is currently the third best offensive rebounding team in the EuroLeague. But at the same time, we were talking a little bit about the offensive issues, and Crvena Zvezda is, as of right now, the worst team when it comes to 3-point percentage in EuroLeague with just 31%. So what I wanted to ask you, Edin, is, of course, your impression about how the team has been doing so far, and what do you think are the chances for them to maybe try to reach that playoff spot that, as of right now, it looks a little bit maybe too far away, but I don't know, maybe in the coming weeks the situation might change a little bit. What do you think?
Well, I would like to start that they're doing really good. You have to take into consideration that they played really great games against some top teams, and they lost it in the final possessions, final minutes. They didn't have really much luck, so the ball didn't bounce their way in the final seconds. But they fought until the end against some top players, top teams, and held their own, whether it's in away or home games. But this is the critical time for them. They have, I think, until the end of the season, most of their games they're playing at home. And they're really strong at home. They have their crowd supporting them, despite everything COVID related. They still rely on them, and they're helping in that. About their season, I can't help but notice they won some ugly games at the start. Games that they maybe not been in position to win or not expected to win, but they won them by playing their brand of basketball. That with Coach Radonjic, they have their own defensive identity. Some players play out of their mind and look way better than they actually are. He knows how to utilize most of their players. He mainly rely on domestic Serbian, recently Montenegrin player they brought from Buducnost. They really focus on that, and with couple imports to fill the gaps on the roster and help them on some parts of the roster contraction which they are missing at the moment. For example, I think they expected more for from some imports they brought mid-season. I'm talking mostly about Stefan Markovic, who really didn't do the trick for them. He didn't help them the way they wanted, and mostly. I don't want to call him a bust, but he and Ivanovic kind of get in each other's way. They can't get in the rhythm. Either of them. They play short bursts, and neither can get catch some fire and take over some game, or even play some meaningful roles down the stretch, so they can help them be more competitive in those games. If you ask me, I think this is the most of their problems, because I really respect the work they do in the EuroLeague. Especially, I have to notice that Nate Walters is playing for them. Really good season. I think he's automatic when he's in that short range, those floaters and shots inside like 3 meters to the basket. His touch around the rim is really great. I think he was way about 60% or close to 70 at the rim. Even though he's not really a spectacular athlete or some really fast guy, he really knows his way around, and he can finish against some best rim protectors there. When you look at their team, you see mainly one star, who is Nikola Kalinic, and he's really playing an amazing season. He's basically everything to them. He's defensive leader. He's offensive leader. He really grew into complete player who can do everything on the court, and they rely very much on him. Especially in the first part of the season, when he basically played like 30-35 minutes a game every week. You could see that it took toll on him, and he started missing some bunnies, some free throws late in the game. But when you do so much and spend so much energy during the entire game, those moments can happen. I don't blame him for that. He's basically that one star they're building their team around. Everybody else has to do their part and do their role so they can excel and eventually win the game. I think they have double week. This is the double week now, and it's a great opportunity for them. Which both games they play at home. They can try to win both games and build some momentum for the rest of the season. But when talking about Kalinic, and I really can't say too much good words and superlative about him and his game. It's really been a revelation and really nice watching him this season. Especially, he even added he got some star calls. He really upped his flop game. I have to admit, but sometimes some refs call him on his bullshit, and they award him the technicals or offensive fouls, and he gets in the foul trouble, and later on they have to figure out the life without him on the court. But some other players stepped up and provided some shooting lately, which was their weak link in their game. There was a lot of drive and kick opportunities, but nobody could convert those shots. They also had Aaron White out for like almost 3 months or so. He's still trying to get back in the rhythm.
Yeah.
He's really an important piece for them this summer. They rely on him, and then that's really bad fall happened and his injury in that preseason tournament. I think when you look back after everything this season is ended, that injury of Aaron White is probably the reason they didn't make the better score when you look at the standings and even the seasons all said and done. I'm not really sure whether they'll make it to the playoffs, but I'm sure if they stay healthy and they make the best way of their fans in the home court, they protect their home court. They can be in the hunt, how they say in the NFL. They for those last 8 spots. You see some teams they're around 8 spots. I can say they are really much better than them, even though they have more names and more talented roster and everything, but they have some energy and their togetherness that's really been a staple of their game or their team for so long. I really admire that about them, and it's really a testament to their coach who kind of knows how to get the best of each of them. Most of them are playing together for several seasons, so there's not much chemistry issues. They're like, I read on the BasketNews that they already have like almost 70% of domestic players in their roster. They rely much about them. And when you look at it, it's really not a surprise because this region, Balkans, has always been talented. They always been talent going in and out of this region. People really like and respect basketball. There is a big basketball culture around here wherever you look. But lately, money has been tight for most of the teams, and they couldn't compete with other European powerhouses which basically could bring some borderline NBA players who are getting cut from the training camps and bringing them along to their roster.
Yeah, and what you mentioned it actually is one of the things that I was considering, because as you said on BasketNews, we had this thread about how much Crvena Zvezda used the local players this season. The majority of the minutes are played by local players. In the roster, there are 9 Serbian players, 1 player from Montenegro, and only 3 American guys. And then there is Zirbes, who is German, but knows the environment of Crvena Zvezda very well because he has been already there in the past. So it's a very tight group also when you look at the cultural perspective.
Yeah, it's really tight group because most of the guys have already been there for quite some time, and those guys who aren't, they already know what Crvena Zvezda is all about, and they get embraced by that culture, and they integrate pretty quickly. You can always always say about those players, they all look the same, and if you ask their fans. They would like probably someone a little different, someone who is not really like the rest of the roster, so he can give an extra edge. To this day, they mentioned that season they made it to playoff, which Quincy Miller was featuring player, and he had some really amazing plays, stunts. Fans loved him. To this day, they're in touch, and they just want another experience like him with some other player. But what's they're all about is their local, domestic, homegrown player. They bring every year. You already said they're not really hot shooting team, but most of their they can all shoot that ball. But most of their players are, how you can say it, the rhythm shooters. You need some time for them to get into rhythm, but which they may not have by the end of by the time game is probably over. They won't give an inch to other players, but they won't be able to score on the other on the other. So when you get hot, you ride that hot hand. So one night it's going to be Walters, the other night it's going to be Kalinic, the third night is going to be Dobric. Dobric is really shooting well lately, and you already have some guys who can rely. They'll always pull out some trick out of the hat, some high IQ play, like some extra pass from Kalinic, some drop off pass from Walters out of pick and roll. You have really their former captain, and he's now, I don't know if he's a captain now, Luka Mitrovic. He spent the last year here in Podgorica. He really came into his own as a backup five for them. He was playing power forward early in his career. He was there before as a captain and everything, but now he kind of came into his own. He's really helping them beat some mismatches, help them score around the rim, find the extra pass, extra shooter, and the space he creates out of the short roll or passing from the low post, it really helps them get their offense running. And if you get a couple open shots, you can always count that they will get that extra energy on the defensive side. The staple of their game are basically that transition offense when they get a stop, secure the rebound, and just run the transition and punish teams, punish defenses like that. When you go like that, you have players like Ognjen Kuzmic, who is already there for quite some time. He's already been efficient enough. He's not really the man he was before his accident and everything, but he contributes on his own way, and he can score around the rim if he's given a chance. But he's their rebound guy. There are also a lot of players like Kalinic, Dobric, Branko Lazic, who really crash the offensive glass and grant them extra possession, who can be very valuable for a team like them to score more and compete with a lot more high-octane offenses, which are in EuroLeague. But those effort and their energy is the thing there that stood out so far for me to them.
Yeah. So now let's move on a little bit and to talk about Partizan Belgrade, who is playing in EuroCup, and as of right now they have a record of 8 wins and 3 losses. They're still undefeated at home with 6 wins and 0 losses. And from looking at some of their games and some of their numbers, it looks like, especially offensively, the team is producing. As of right now, they have the 4th best offensive rating in the EuroCup, and they also have the 3rd best net rating. What I wanted to ask you, Edin, is of course your perspective about their performances so far. But let's say what you didn't like about Partizan so far. Where do you think they can improve as a team?
Well, when it comes to Partizan and Željko Obradovic, who came there this summer, it's really hard to say something is wrong with his team, to criticize the coach like him, it's not really the best way to start any story. But if I really have to point some things that there's been kind of the story of the season for them, that they mastered the art of winning ugly. They can win ugly games. They can win close games. They can make a big advantage, like 10, 15 points. They can blow away, and they can always finish the game and finish the job and repel that comeback run. It happened way too often at home, and they managed to win every game so far. I think first loss was, I think, against Andorra there in Andorra, and it came about from some players. Some players was injured. I think maybe Kevin Panther wasn't there. I'm not sure, but with COVID and everything, it's not really weird thing to have miss some players during the season. But it's been a story of their season. They can play really good offense when they want. They can lock you up if when they want. But these are also just short-lived, short bursts. They're like teasers. They're teasing you with their defensive aggression and identity. They can basically run you from the court in like 3 minutes. You don't know what hit you, and you are already 10 or 15 points behind. And then you have like some static offense when nobody knows what to do or where to move, pounding the ball, kicking it out or back in, and you just toss up some contested shot and which doesn't go in. They have brought some young players in. You can say anything about how they played or everything, but they gave a chance to their young players to produce, to show them what they're made of, see how they're gonna progress through season, and possibly to be part of the bigger picture of Partizan in the future. You have guys like Gregor Glass, Slovenian prodigy, shooting guard who already hit some big shots against some teams, both in the Adriatic League and in the EuroCup. He really had some really good games. You have guys like Balša Koprivica, who is legitimate backup center for them. He played some big minutes earlier before. Matthias Lassord joined them in, I think, December or January. I'm not sure when he came.
I think it was December, yeah.
And he really kind of solidified that central rotation for them. You have a guy like Smailagic who had some really interesting highlight plays, some big games for him. But you can see he has embraced that Partizan mentality. He shows you all war talent in the other in the 1 second, and the other second you see him blow rotation completely, forget about his man, get back, or a guy like Kevin Panther gets like backdoor cut, get burned. The other guy has his defensive assignment blown, and it's really those inconsistency kind of cost them those 3 losses. But they are really talented team and really good on that end, and you can't say that they're really lacking talent or lacking leadership from any position or coaching or whether it's Kevin Panther or Željko Obradovic. You have guys who know Zach Lidej. They have guys who know how to win, and they can help them get there. They may be not win it this year, win it all, but they may be. They do. You just need some time to figure everything out. But I think at this point of the season, the team should know his own identity and how they want to play and how they look when the season ends and the biggest game arrives. I'm not seeing that from Partizan still. They might be flip the switch at the one point and just win everything, run teams around like they used to earlier, but more consistently. But they can remain inconsistent for a whole season, and you just see flashes of what could it be. Yeah. I'm really liking those young players they brought. You have I already mentioned Koprivica, Pregoglas. I forgot Yamadar, Israeli point guard, who really was announced as a big reinforcement for them. Even though he was young, he was straight from the summer league from Boston. He joined Partizan. There was some crazy comparison I didn't really agree with in the start. They basically called him like some NBA superstars when they were younger, but most of them kind of went hard on him when he didn't fulfill that expectations. This is probably the biggest stage and the biggest competition he played so far, and he also needs time like the other young guys they have. So they have to be patient with him in the this season, probably next, because there are still young guys who need some time and guidance, so they can figure it out sooner rather than late.
Yeah.
Those are these games, close games that Partizan played so far, a lot of them. They bring those guys much needed experience and know how can they act in those situations. You can't really learn much or progress or improve if you're only playing garbage time minutes. When possessions doesn't really matter, or it's not really important whether you do right thing or wrong, whether you miss or make a shot. But they also have a lot of help from their fans. They're really there for them. Sole return of Željko Obradovic infused the entire fan base. They basically sold out entire season tickets. The interest has grown much more than previous seasons, and the team is much more competitive, and they just want to see some good basketball, and they probably deserve it, and they'll probably will this year and in years that come, because this, in the end of the day, this is really one young, talented roster that needs some time to gel and to figure things on their own.
Yeah, and of course, you mentioned the fact that they are a very young team. They have several young players in the roster, and recently they made another very young addition in Tristan Vukcevic, who came from Real Madrid. Tristan is the son of former basketball player Dusan Vukcevic, and he decided to leave Real Madrid because he wanted to play more regularly, and of course that was pretty difficult in Real Madrid, considering how many talented big men Real Madrid have. They have a very deep rotation, so for him it wasn't easy to find minutes consistently. What do you think about the addition of Vukcevic, and what do you think he can bring to the team, like right away, considering that the target, of course, is still to try to get that spot for the EuroLeague?
I'm not really. I don't really know how much more will he play here in Partizan, considering his role, what his role was in Madrid. He probably would play the same, but for Partizan, he's a long-term project. He's their guy. They want to invest in his future and make him probably one of the cornerstones of their team from next year onwards. He's really talented guy. I like him more as a stretch 5 prospect than a pure 4. He could probably play a 4, but I think it will be kind of wasteful for his potential. He would probably, as a 4, he would be limited to being a stretch guy, shooting threes, operating on the perimeter. While I can see he can also make some damage on the inside, as well in the outside. He can really help them in the many ways, depending how they want to develop him. But he's very versatile. I really expect him to come on his own if he gets his work in during the summer, and with Coach Obradovic, he could probably show him the way he wants to be. He wants him to play and how he wants to get used. But their center rotation so far is pretty crowded. You have Zach Liday, you have Smailagic, you have Koprivica, you have Matthias Lesor, you have some other younger guys like who are probably won't be part of the rotation in Miletic. You have also some guys like Zagorac or Dangubic who probably will be out of rotation. Those are their wings, but I think they're mostly be fringe guys. I'm mostly expecting for Željko Obradovic to start some tighter rotation, some smaller guy like 8 or 9 players deep rotation, so they can basically prepare those players for those biggest games that come in the April in both ABA League and EuroCup, which is now more of like March Madness format. You have one game, and if you don't one bad game, you're out. No matter which seed you are, where you are, you get that home court advantage, which plays big for them. But so far they kind of got played out of that home court advantage. They have big game now against the Juventud, which they lost, I think, or won. I think I'm not sure what happened in the first game.
I think they lost the first game against Badalona. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I think that Paul Ribas had some hit some shots, and they really had some really good game. I remember it was really good game, but I if you to kill me, I can't remember. It's just kind of flew over my head.
Yeah.
Anyway, I really expect them to ease Tristan Vukcevic into the transition. He spent all those years in Spain. Now he's coming back to Belgrade. He won't have probably the first team minutes a lot. Probably in Adriatic League, if Partizan is playing some garbage time games, he can get the chance to throw some shots, showcase some potential, get fans excited for his future and everything. But I'm not really. I don't think he should be counted as one of the guys who will be producing for them in the playoffs, whether it's EuroCup or ABA League. They have already invested big in guys like Zach Liday and Alen Smailagic. Balša Koprivica is playing better as the time coming out. He really helped them on offensive glass. He could poke some balls. He could be very destructive with his length around the basket. I'll admit, I didn't really expect really much about him. I thought he would be just a guy getting minutes, but he really improved as the season gone by. I was really impressed with the way he was being used. He got some easy basket at the rim. He tried to be disruptive defensively. He controlled the glass. He boxed out when he could. So far of those young players, he's probably one of my favorites.
Okay. So to finish the episode, of course, having had in here, I wanted to talk also a little bit about Buducnost, who's currently in the Group B of EuroCup. They have a record of 7 wins and 4 losses. Justin Cobbs is having a very good season. He's averaging more than 18 points per game and is shooting almost 52% from 3-point. But it's just, it's kind of strange teams in a way when we look a little bit at their numbers. They're, for example, they're the last team in the entire competition for 3-point attempts. They don't shoot a lot from 3-point, and they also have very few assists per game. They're one of the worst teams in assisting the baskets. But so far, they had a good performance in the competition, and they're definitely absolutely in the mix for a playoff spot. So I wanted to ask you, what's your opinion about their season so far, and do you think that they have they might have a shot at being a potential contender for the EuroCup title?
I'm not sure how big of a contender they can be. Probably a dark horse for some upsets down the road, but not really sure with the way that their season was going. The thing about Buducnost is they're lacking their main floor spacer, Danilo Nikolic, who is out for almost for entire season. He should probably be back in about a month, but he had a big break, and with everything that happened to him, the whole team, coaches and players, teammates, they rallied around him, helped him get through it, and now he's probably gonna get back on the court, hopefully in the early March or late February. Thing is, when you look at the Buducnost squad, they're not really much a 3-point shooter who are really deadly. You can say those are the guys you won't leave open. You have like guy who is a premier 3-point shooter who was in EuroLeague, DJ Sealy, who's really a good 3-point shooter. But outside of him, there's not really much players who can punish you from the outside. Despite of that, not shooting much threes, not being really, how can I say, modern basketball with all the 3-point shots and faster pace. Buducnost has never been complete. There was always lacking a player, 2 or 3. Sometimes they even had the trouble to get a practice going. They brought some guys from the other teams to help them maintain a practice. They didn't practice for 2 months, like whole November and December. I think they had like 7 or 8 guys on the practice every time. They couldn't go 5-on-5, and it's really showed. And some players really played their way, like for 35 minutes a game. They were asked to do way much than they expected to be doing this season. The depth was really problem for them, but so far you can be, as a fan of Buducnost, you can be really happy with the score in both Adriatic League and EuroCup, considering the circumstances that happened, how many injuries there have been, how many times COVID has struck them, how many misfortunes they had, and everything that was going on with their season. It's really been a tough season for them when you look at it, that standpoint. But on the other side, as you said, you have Justin Cobbs, who, like you said, he's shooting really good and he's playing an amazing season. He's probably best season so far. I would say he's probably in the running for the MVP. Him and Eric McCollum is probably two guys. I would say they're like toe to toe to go as a MVP. Of course, Lokomotiv is a much better and much talented team, but what Justin Cobbs is doing is nothing is equally impressive.
Yeah.
You said when I said they're not really a big 3-point team. They put they find a way, the other ways to put pressure on defense. Like if you have noticed, their free throw rate is really high. Probably one of the top three in the EuroCup. You have guys like DJ Silly, Justin Cobbs, Vlado Mitso, who have experience, and they know how to draw fouls, how to get to the line, how to score and get everyone else involved. You have guys who had who helped them put them in that position. We had Willie Reed who missed a week there, a week 1 month, a week the other month. He missed some important games, and team didn't really had him for some games that was really important for them, but in both ABA League and in EuroCup. But those are just things that happens during the season, and you just can't predict or say he won't be there, or it's just next man up and whatever happens. That's kind of what their coach is saying. It is what it is. It's kind of his go-to line. Whatever happens, those next in line is gonna have to make it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Considering the other, you have guys I really expected to come on his own. He had really good moments. For Buducnost was Edin Atic. He came from Igokea last summer, and he had some really good games. He rebounded like some centers. His rebound rate is really good. I think he's going for every ball. His energy is high. The only thing he's lacking so far is a little more aggression, to be more aggressive, looking for his own shot, attacking the basket, just looking more to score, not to put more scoring pressure on those two guys. Everybody knows their most threat coming from them. You have also good pick and roll big in Willie Reed, who has some really athletic plays. They ended up in the EuroCup top 10 almost every week. Some tough finishes, alley-ups. You can't really say those things are not attractive, even though they're not clearly some step back threes or anything. For example, just the other day, Justin Cobbs hit some big three against Cedevita Olympia, their rival in Group B of EuroCup, but it was ABA League game, and even though it's not his game, 3-point shooting, he really made that shot when it matters. Those are like you can say clutch players. They want the ball, and they can deliver when they you can be mad if they miss the shot, because they made it so many times before that. And most of their offense, and you said there is no much assist from them. It's offense is relied on two guys creating their own shots or creating for others. You have two really good ISO players, isolation players in Cobbs and DJ Silly, and they can score that way, and you rely on them to bring you points, whether it is from the line, or to create their own shot, or score at the rim, or find the open guy. You just need a better shooters around them to capitalize on those driving kicks and ball movements that goes along that. I would like if as a fan to see a team run a little more, but you can't expect team to run after they spend so much playing 30 minutes or so the game. They have to preserve their bodies and everything. It's really a tough task to ask for them, but some transition opportunities will really help them offensively, and I would probably appreciate a little more of that. But as coach said, it is what it is, and we're gonna have to accept whatever is next.
Yeah. So this was, of course, everything for this brand new episode of Full Court Podcast. I wanted to thank you to Edin for jumping in and giving us your insight about ABA League teams. Thank you very much, Edin.
We probably missed a little more about Cedevita Olympia. They also had some really good games in EuroCup, but they were just unlucky to win them. I also want to thank you for this opportunity. It's my first time doing this video podcast. I maybe babbled a lot more than I thought I would, but I sure hope you don't mind. And
it's all good, man. Again. It's all good.
To talk about some other topics. Yeah. Hopefully, when we get to the EuroLeague playoffs or EuroCup playoffs, we can examine some other things.
Absolutely, there will be other opportunities. So before we finish, just a quick reminder, of course, that Full Court Podcast is also now available in the audio version on Spotify. Of course, you can find the full format on our website, BasketNews.com, and on our YouTube channel. So with all you basketball fans, we'll see you very, very soon. Thank you very much, everyone.